Hi, I'm Kid. Stop being a perfectionist with your art. And also start being a perfectionist with your art. Okay, calming down. This is supposed to be a calm video. Hi, I'm Kid. So, art positivity video. We're gonna talk about art and having a positive image of it. I just made this zine called Eleena's Diary. If you've watched my last video, I'm gonna do that spiel again. It's like an adult children's book. Eleena's Diary, I describe it as like an adult children's book where the titular character, Eleena, it's about this like newly 20-year-old Eleena who is like very stressed out and anxious about becoming an adult. And she's writing to herself about the things that stress her out, and it's like her hopes and her dreams and her aspirations, and also just kind of like traumas she's lived with all of her life. The first book is about perfection and what it means to be perfect. Do I have the right to be perfect? Should I expect to be perfect? Should others expect me to be perfect? What does it even mean to be that? It's something that I've dealt with kind of all my life in my own person. I grew up with like very high expectations put on me, whereas like people have always seen like a lot of potential with me, so I've like always like had that pressure to perform and meet those expectations, and I'm very proud that I have. But it's like it really does something to like how you perceive like yourself and your art, just because whenever I don't meet those expectations with like those very, very high expectations, that exceededly high bar, is like everything I do feels like I'm failing all the time. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it's something that I've had to think about a lot making this scene. So perfectionism, what do I define perfectionism as, and like what is it really seen as this like in the art space? Perfectionism is kind of like what I kind of view it as is like trying to make things as good as they possibly can be, where there's no flaws, absolutely nothing. And it's like, if you don't make something that's perfect, it's bad and you should die. That's what I mean, where it's like, stop doing that. Because like for most of my artist career, I have been a perfectionist in this kind of term. For a lot of it, I was just kind of like, hey, I need to make the best thing that I possibly can every single time, as like I really prided myself about every single thing that I've made topped the last thing. Like you can see a clear improvement of my drawings ever since I've started, that has like progressively gone up and up and up and up. It's taken a while to get there, and there's a reason for why it's taken a while to get there. And I think it's because of that perfectionist mindset. If everything has to be perfect all of the time, then you're not really learning much from being perfect. Like, what is there to improve on? Like, say you make like the best thing ever, like Mona Lisa, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur-esque perfect thing. There's like no ways you can possibly improve. What do you do from there? How do you improve and go up from there? Like, sure, you've made something that you're really proud of, and that is not a thing to like scoff at. Is like you made something really, really cool. Okay, the next thing has to match that. The next thing has to be either at the same level or better than that. How do you top perfection then? Even if you make something perfect, the next thing might not be. How are you gonna improve from there? And it's like, what I found that really helps is just kind of like dismantling that perfectionist mindset. Whereas like, yeah, you want things to be as best as they possibly can be, but that's not feasible all the time. And that is especially apparent in being an animator, because y'all know from like the constant like complaining from the animation community is that animation is difficult and it takes a lot of time. As much as it is expected, you cannot be expected to make a perfect animation. There's going to be flaws, there's going to be weird little quirky little movements, and you just kind of have to accept that and in being an animator has made me realize that everything I do has to have a little bit of flaws for me to improve as an artist. Because say you make that perfect piece and everything is perfect and great, and then you have to top that, because like if you're making things that are like, there's some flaws here, there's things that are kind of messed up here, as like people see that, you see that, as like, but for the next one, you kind of know what to avoid. You know what things you like, you know what things you don't like, and then you can apply it to the next one. And it's like, I saw this graph, I don't know if it's like, it's out there or anywhere, I don't know where to find it. There's only so much you can grow while being a perfectionist, but if you have that mindset, but keep making things slower, and you put out things that have a lot more mistakes with them, you grow so much faster. And I've experimented with that recently. I watched this video of a art YouTuber that I really looked up to and admire, called I think it's Ginja Ninja. I think it's still Genshin Ninja. It might be actually Ray. I think it's both. And that bit kind of confused me. I don't know where it is. They made a video a while ago with Spilled Ink. It's a podcast by two animation storytime YouTubers called Emarichu and Didus. And it was about using highlighters and ink in your style and your sketching style. And I thought it was really fascinating, and it's something that I actually kind of do to this day still. They brought in a whole bunch of like highlighters and pens, and what they did was they blocked out like a pose in highlighter and blocked it in with pen. You would think that would like lock you into a certain thing, because like a lot of artists have the stigma towards pen, whereas like you have to be perfect all the time with a pen. What they found was that it actually kind of lets you be a lot more loose, because like every mark is permanent. Everything that you do is permanent. So when you're making something, you have to commit to that. You have to keep moving to the next thing. It's like, even if you make like a weird wonky little sketch, it's okay. The whole form isn't there yet. And I thought that was really fascinating. So like the next time I opened my sketchbook, I was like, hey, do I have a highlighter and like a pen I could do? And it's like, I'll see if I can find those sketches. Whether there was like, it really opened up a side of my art that I did not know I could reach. And I was like, I've always prided myself on like this slow, steady growth. As like, this was one of the biggest times outside of like really animating for the first time that I saw like exponential growth really quickly. And that was like the beginning of this year, and I have grown, like the quality of my work has grown so much ever since then. It's all because I let myself be more loose. The thing about like pencil sketching, yeah, it's like impermanent. You can like erase things and like make sure things are all right, but you get into that perfectionist mindset where you think you can spend so much time going back over one thing and then erasing it and then making sure every single little thing is all right. And then that just like, it slows you down. It like, to me, it like startles improvement. Whereas like sketching things with pen, a lot more permanent, a lot more like, you have to keep moving it, keep rolling with the flow. So it's like, while I think sketching with pen is good for a lot of specific things, sketching with pencil is also good for a lot of specific things. So whatever you're doing, don't like take this as like, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. Do whatever is like good and comfortable for you, but I implore you to try sketching with pen highlighter. Ray saved my life there. Being a perfectionist with your work, in my opinion, really like stifles your production as an artist. It's like, if you're able to be a little freeform with your art, if you're able to like put out things that you're not that proud of, and like, I think it really helps with the quality of your art, and also just kind of like your mindset. It's like artists, including me, are like very afraid of failure. It's like putting things out that you really love and really appreciate, but people don't see it that way. People don't really like connect with it, or like people don't really see it at all. And it's like, if you're in that perfectionist mindset, it's that every single time you put something out, it's going to be great, and you know it's going to be great, but people don't see it. People don't, like, especially like on social media platforms, is like people don't see the work you put in, and it's always a recipe for disaster because you know you made something great, not everyone else does, and that really, really puts strain on yourself, because even though you made something that you deem is like perfect, really good, as the best it can be, it's ultimately going to suffer the same fate as everything else, of it underperforming in people's eyes, and then it underperforms in your eyes, and it's like, and then you're like, maybe it's not as good as it's supposed to be, and it shouldn't be like that. So it's like, it's been really hard for me, because like in making YouTube videos, I've been wanting to put out my best foot forward. I want to make every video as good as I possibly can. While I love to do that, it's not feasible. Now that I'm like in my junior year of college right now, I have to prioritize like school and like my big personal projects first. I don't have the time to be a perfectionist, and I have to like, now I'm like learning, I'm trying to push myself to be more of a imperfectionist. That even though this video isn't the best that it possibly can be, as like, I'm still gonna put it out, I'm still gonna learn from what this video was and how people react to it, and it's like what I see that I have done that I could do better next time, and it's all about what you can do better next time. And I think that's what being a true perfectionist is. You always want to be doing better the next time. Put out things that you're proud of course, but also make sure there's some flaws, make sure there's something you can improve on, and I always think that's one of the most important ones. But yeah, I haven't eaten all day. Make sure very soon that Eleena's diary is going to be available everywhere. The first issue will be out in audiobook format on YouTube soon, and if you just want to read it for yourself, it's online somewhere. And if you want a physical copy, I'm working on getting like an Etsy or something somewhere, I don't know. It's all about what I've been talking about, just kind of like that perfectionist mindset. I gotta make something to eat. Thanks for coming by. My name is Meat Kid. See you soon. Bye.